Hey everyone, by the end of this video, we'll see how we can rewrite this slider controlled text where we start with a ton of JavaScript, a lot of CSS written in our JavaScript. We'll rewrite it to look like this. Same exact functionality here, but only 3 lines of JavaScript. Everything else has been moved over to our CSS thanks to the magic of CSS Variables. So that's what we're talking about today, one of my favorite newish features in CSS Variables. Before that, a couple of small announcements. First, I need suggestions for future videos. Please leave comments if you have any ideas. I'm collecting all of them, whether they are beginner, advanced, feasible for me to make, completely unfeasible. Just leave comments if you have any ideas. And second, next week, I'm going to have a big announcement on this YouTube channel, so stay tuned. It's just an announcement about a future announcement. Great. All right, let's get started. These are the notes I've made. You can find the link in the description if you want a copy of them. CSS variables are also known as custom properties, but in my experience, most people call them variables. CSS variables allow us to create reusable values in our style sheets. And they're really, really beneficial because they can help you clean up your code, prevent duplication, but also it makes your code more readable, more semantic. Here's an example of a really common scenario. Ignore how hideous things are, but we have some content where I'm using the same color in multiple places to set the H1 color as well as the button background color. And let's say on this div that has a class of alert, I want to add in a border using that same color. I would write border 2 pixels solid and then the same hex code. Again, it's hideous, but I'm writing this color 3 different times. With a CSS variable, what I can do instead is define this one time and give it a name like red color or main color or something like that, and I can reuse it. One of the most important things to talk about is browser support. I want to put this up front. Nothing about variables is supported in Internet Explorer, but otherwise it has pretty broad support. Okay, so let's move on to the syntax, the juicy stuff. In order to use a variable, we first have to define it. Just like in a programming language like JavaScript, you have to declare the variable before you can reference it or use it. Same thing here. And the way we define them is with the same CSS property and value syntax we always use, but the property is going to start with 2 dashes. So dash dash and then whatever you want. And this will create a variable with this name. And then you give it an initial value like purple in this case. And now whenever you reference main page color, you'll get purple, unless you change this value. And the way that we reference them is by calling the var function. So var is a function in CSS. You pass in the name of a variable, and it will retrieve that value. So let's play around with it here. Let's make a variable for this red color. We're going to talk about scope in a little bit. So we're going to start by just defining this in the body. We're not talking about scope yet. Remember, dash dash and then our variable name. So let's go with bright red, something like that, and then paste in that value. And then to use it anywhere I want on this H1, I get rid of that. I can replace it with the var function and then dash dash bright red. And then I can just duplicate this, put it here and right here. So what's cool is that we can use it within other properties, like you see here with this border. It doesn't have to just be this. We can add the color just as a little piece inside of a longer value, like 2 pixels solid X. And you can see here we see the exact same display we had, but let's change the color to teal. Bright red does not make sense as a name for that, but now we have teal showing up every place we were referencing bright red. So really useful. Just already with that one example, you can see how this, hopefully you can see how this could be useful. You can set up a theme for your website where you have a primary color, a background color, a secondary color, and then you could easily change them to allow for a dark mode and a light mode. A single button press, all you would need to do is change this color here to change all of this. So that's the first bit. You can define them using dash dash, and then you access them with var. But there's one more thing about var that we haven't touched on, which is that you can specify a fallback value. So if bright red didn't exist, like if I just get rid of it, right now we don't get anything. Everything is black or the default background color white. There are no styles coming from this line or this line or this line. So we can pass in a second argument, a fallback color like purple here, and now bright red is not found, but purple is used as a fallback. So that's important to know about the var function. Okay, so let's talk about scope. Just like variables in a traditional programming language like JavaScript, our variables in CSS, or custom properties as they're technically known, are scoped to where they're defined. So the selector that we define them inside of and the specificity of that selector is going to determine the scope of the variable. If you want your values to be accessible everywhere in your CSS, you can define them using the root pseudo class, and this will just allow all of your variables to be accessible globally in the style sheet. So that would make sense for something like a color palette where you have main colors that you want to be able to use everywhere in your CSS. But you can also scope variables locally. So here's an example where we define main page color inside of a div, and we will only have access to this variable, which is set to red, for any divs or elements nested inside of div elements. So let's take a look at an example of that. I'm going to not do it inside of body. I'm instead going to target divs and set bright red to be, how about orchid? And now our bright red variable is only accessible in certain parts of our style sheet. So this H1 is trying to use it. We're not going to get an error or anything like that. It is CSS after all. But the H1 is not set to orchid because this variable is scoped to divs or anything inside of a div. And here we're setting all buttons to have a background color of this bright red color, which again is actually purple orchid color. And it does look like all of our buttons are doing just that. But if I were to add a third button down at the bottom, like this one, you can see that it does not have that background color. Only the buttons that are inside of a div. This one is in a div, and this button is also in a div. Those are the only ones that actually have that color. I could define bright red again up top in root scope using that root pseudo class and set this one, instead of orchid, let's go with pink. Now you can see how specificity impacts the scope. For example, this H1 right here is not located inside of a div, so it just gets the pink bright red, which is just a horrible name. I really should have gone with main color. But then we've got divs, which are supposed to use orchid for the bright red value. And inside of those divs, we've got some buttons, like this button and this button, so they use orchid. The border from this alert class is going to use orchid because it's a div. But then this button is not in a div, so it is using the root defined bright red value. So that's the very basics of scoping as well as overriding values, which is what we just saw. Now let's talk about the benefits of this. The first most obvious benefit is the ability to just reuse stuff throughout a CSS style sheet. You don't have to use something like less or sass, a preprocessor, which in the past you would need to if you wanted variables. There's still good reasons to use them. They have other features that CSS doesn't support, but variables now are available in CSS, and you can see that this is reducing duplication in our code, but it also makes our code more readable, and that's the second reason. This makes a lot more sense, in my opinion, to see bright red or primary color, alert color, warning color, that sort of thing. And we're not limited just to colors, of course. We can do this for padding or spacing. We could do this for gradients, animation, timing, really any type of value in CSS can be stored. And one of the really nice things about variables in CSS is how you can interact with them in JavaScript. It makes it very easy to have dynamic styles applied across your style sheet based off of some user events or input or something happening in JavaScript. Here's a really quick example where I have some text that has a glow effect and a color, and then there's a slider. And when you move the slider, I'm using JavaScript to update the color, the text shadow, which is the glow, and a transform so that it rotates. And it probably shows up a little jittery in my screencast. This is not really the most performant way of doing any of this. Not that you really should be animating things like text shadow anyway. But if you look at the JavaScript, I'll zoom in here, it's pretty nasty. This is the old way without using CSS variables, where you have to manually create the new property from scratch. So I have the value coming from the slider. To make the new color, I have to add it in, interpolate it into an HSL, which is what I'm using here, into a color format. Same thing for the text shadow. There's multiple parts of the shadow. There's a white shadow in the middle to make a glow in the center. And then we have 4 different shadows using the same color we defined up here. Then I have a transform where we have to add in the value, and I'm actually multiplying it by 2 so that it spins twice. Our slider goes from 0 to 180. I'm multiplying it by 2, so it goes from 0 to 360. Anyway, you can see that this is kind of annoying. It's a lot of stuff going on in our JavaScript where we are actually writing the styles and then manually setting them. With variables, I'm just going to fork this for a moment. What we can do instead is create a variable in our CSS and update the variable when you move the slider. Then in our CSS, we can write the styles using that variable. So I can get rid of almost all of this. I'll just show you up here. I'm going to define in the root pseudo class, I'll define a variable called slider, which will start at 0. And then where we set the color, which is right here, I'm going to use var and then -- slider. And I'll just copy that. And then every time we have this HSL, I'm going to add in that slider color, which is just a number, like that. Cool. And then we have our rotation. Now the rotation I was multiplying by 2 in my JavaScript. I can multiply it by 2 right here if I use calc. So I'll do calc of the variable times 2 degrees. Okay, so we should just test this out. If I change the slider number manually, it does update. Let's try going to 40. There we go. Okay, so that's working. Now we just need to make our JavaScript take the slider value and update this slider variable. So I can get rid of all of this right here. I no longer need to select the text itself. I need the range, I need to add the event listener, and I'm also going to select the root because that's where this variable is defined. So we'll go with const root equals document dot, document element. Should give us the roots. And then here to update that variable, I call root.style.setProperty, and then the name of it, which is called slider, and then the new value, which is just the value coming from the slider, which I've made a variable for. I can get rid of all of this. Let's test it out and hopefully it works, and it does. So take a look at the JavaScript now. It's super short. We're not writing styles over here. We're simply sending a number, a value, over to a variable we defined in our CSS. If you compare that to this version, we're having to actually create all the styles here and then send them over one at a time, update those properties each time. It's a pretty clear difference here, and that's one of the main reasons I like using these variables is you can move all that CSS into the CSS file, keep your JavaScript as JavaScripty as possible, and just update a value, which will cause changes over here. So that's pretty much it. CSS variables are great. Remember, there's no support in IE, but there are polyfills you can find. The syntax is pretty straightforward. Use the var function, lots of benefits. There's a couple examples I didn't go over if you want to take a look at the notes. And there are some further recommended reading, some notes, links that you might want to check out. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, next week, big announcement, so stay tuned on my YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment with future video ideas and suggestions, and I'll see you next week.